What is up, guys? I'm here to tell you why I think Harley Davidson is failing. Alright, so I have seen a lot of videos, comments, texts, paragraphs, stories, a lot of different things on why Harley Davidson is failing, right? And I want to talk about a few different things why I think Harley Davidson is failing is because I don't think that stuff comes up. A lot of stuff that I think I don't see other people say, I don't see other people write about, talk about, post about, whatever. I think some of my thought process and hypotheses are a little unique, and I want to give you all that, so please stick around and let me know if you have thought of these or these new things that you've never seen before. I feel like the common answer of why Harley Davidson is failing is because multiple things. One, nobody likes the CEO that's there right now. Is what it is. We're not going to talk about that. I think that's been talked about 100 times. You're not here to hear that. Do I agree with that? Yes, but we're going to move on. So, other things people say. In my mind, they're going to say one of two things, and they contradict the other one. First of all, I'm going to tell you, Harley Davidson can never succeed as a great motorcycle. Not because, just they cannot. They will never succeed in the public eye of being a great motorcycle. Why? Because Harley Davidson is on the top. Okay? In an American-made motorcycle, they are on top. In a motorcycle in general, they are one of the top. I will say one of the top because this may not be your flavor. It is what it is. Different bikes for different people. There's nothing wrong with that. But they are among the elite of other manufacturers. But they are the number one American-made motorcycle. For multiple different reasons. We're not going to get into opinion. They're at the top. They've been doing it for so long, and they've been around. They are kind of the pillar of where people want to be. Now, when you get to that point, you can't do better because people are always going to want something different. I've been hearing this for the longest time. Harley Davidsons are old, outdated, boring tech, right? They're slow. The fuel injection is dumb. It's old. It's antiquated. Air-cooled bikes are slow. They're hot. They're clunky. All of these things. We've all heard these, right? Harley sucks. Okay. So, what has one thing that Harley's tried to do the last few years, and the new CEO has probably been a big part of this? Let's update everything. Let's give them screens. Let's give them navigation. Let's give them water-cooled motors. Let's give them horsepower. Let's give them everything everyone's been complaining about. They did it. Okay? Harley Davidson of 10 years ago is nothing of what they are today. The bikes are completely different. 2024 Street Glide is leaps and bounds over a 14. Leaps and bounds. A 2024 Softail is leaps and bounds over a 2014 Softail. They don't make the Dynas anymore, is what it is. The Sportsters are completely different. They don't even really make a Sportster anymore. It's a Euro bike now. But the power of these bikes are there. There's only one more bike. There's only one line of bikes left, I think, that are air-cooled. And that's the Softails. Guess what? Everyone complains. Harley came out, made more power. They shedded some weight. And now in the 2024s, they're actually cheaper because Harley's going to do what they do. In 2017, they updated the bagger, and they came out swinging with a really good price. And then it went, of course, the economy was booming, 2016 to 2018. That's when I bought mine. The economy was booming, but the bike got more and more and more expensive into 2023. People are like, we're not going to buy these. And then 2024's come out, way better bike, cheaper price. The 2023, they're not worth their weight in aluminum. Like, they are not worth anything compared to what the 2024 is. But I'm not trying to say everything that they're doing, but it's just my point that, wow, I just spit. I don't know if you got that on camera. You can see that. Yeah, roast me in the chats if you'd like. But they came out and changed their bikes so much, and they're faster, stronger, whatever. Everybody wants old school stuff. I'm not going to say everybody, but there was a crowd complaining about the technology, and then now there's a crowd complaining that there's too much technology. Harley can't win. I'll say that forever. Harley will never succeed in the public eye because it's always cool to hate the biggest person. When you're very successful, you're going to get a lot of hate. It is what it is. People want to see you fail because you're succeeding. Nothing wrong with that. It is what it is. Comes with the territory. I said all those things to just kind of bring it up. Haters going to hate, basically. Am I in love with everything that Harley does? Absolutely not. But it's the best option. And I don't buy Harleys for how they are on the showroom floor. Is what it is. I don't care. It's a vessel for my artistic interpretation. It is a canvas. That's why I buy Harley Davidson. But let's keep it moving. So why are they failing? One, I think they're trying to succeed in the public eye where they never will. They just have to do them. They just have to do what they do. And they have to own it, and they have to live by that. You try to appease everybody, you will appease no one. That's a hot take. Write that down. You try to appease everybody, you will appease no one. You just have to be true to yourself, and the people who align with you will follow. That's life advice. Write that down. But anyways, Harley is also losing their touch on reality. 10 years ago, I feel like there was a lot less mom and pop shops, right? So as of right now, I've heard all over my local dealers. Please comment down below if this is the same for you. A lot of Harley shops around here will not work on a motorcycle that's over 10 years old. They will not work on their own bike that's over 10 years old. Which means in 5 years, they won't work on my motorcycle anymore. Not that I get them to work on it now, but they won't work on it. Maybe they'll change tires and stuff, but they won't, like, if I have a problem, they're just going to be like, well, you're SOL, right? That is ludicrous. That is insane. Because that means, as of today, they won't work on a 2014. That's kind of crazy. So in 2014, if the same rule applied, they wouldn't work on anything older than a 04. Well, Harley really changed the game in the early 2000s when they came out with the twin cam. I know you're going to get a lot of people in the comment section, possibly, if anybody watches this video. But I know people always say it on TikTok, oh, Evos are the best motor. Whatever. I don't care. If you think Evos are the best, Evos are the best. I don't care. But what happened in the early 2000s is, first of all, Harley started getting their carburetors pretty dialed in. They're pretty easy to work on. And the biggest thing is everything started to get streamlined. You didn't have these weird models with weird things going on. In the early 2000s, Harley's like, okay, I feel like they went more with like the car industry where they started standardizing their models and using a lot of the same things all across the board, and it got easier. They probably got easier to make. They also got easier to work on, and they were way more reliable. Now, they had some issues in the early 2000s, They fixed those in the mid-2000s. My opinion, '07 and up, basically your 96 cubic inch and bigger Harley Davidson, '07 and up, at least in the big twins, Sportsters stayed the same. Uh, they were the same since '86 until they got 86th, until they got changed. Uh, Everything's pretty much standard, and everything pretty much works. Most of your Harleys are, even them that era, are going to have 20, 30,000 miles on it, if nothing. They work pretty well. And the fuel injection is pretty much standard across the board at that point. '04, '05, '06 were some weird years, but '07 and up, especially in the baggers, like '09 and up, those late 2000s, Harley got it. They standardized everything, they got everything rolling, and they figured everything out. Do they make changes? Absolutely. But the reliability skyrocketed. People being able to work on them at home skyrocketed. Also, leading up to '08, there was a good financial times happening. That's why you had all these big choppers and all these aftermarket motorcycle manufacturers, because Harley couldn't keep up with demand. There is so many Harleys for sale now that are good quality bikes. It's insane. Why did I talk about all that? Because Harley is dealing with that problem now, in my opinion. The younger gen, they're always saying, oh, the younger people aren't buying Harleys. The younger people aren't buying Harleys. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. But the last 3 Harleys I bought, I'm not buying new. Are you kidding me? I don't have that kind of money. Nor do I want a brand new bike. I want a canvas, right? So I bought an '05 Dyna. I bought a '92 FXR. And I just picked up an '08 Dyna after selling those last 2 bikes. Harley didn't get any money from that, and they won't even work on it, which is fine. I don't want them to work on it. But they're losing out on a little bit of the younger generation because there's so many cheaper options available. The aftermarket support through the roof. I need anything, I can go on the the internet, click on some companies' websites, and I can order whatever I need. It is easier now to do anything with a Harley, especially if you love my niche, which is kind of like the performance slash, like, throwing miles on your bike type motorcycle. There's companies popping up everywhere. There's more options available, and you don't even have to touch Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson still has their Screaming Eagle line, and there are some things that they do really well. I know that there's a lot of people still are only using their adjustable push rods because they feel like they're better than a lot of the aftermarket. Some things Harley does pretty well, but there isn't a company in the world that I know of, in a vehicle manufacturer, where the aftermarket support takes care of anything the dealer does. Because stock Harleys aren't that great, and they're not that cool. What's cool is putting your own twist on them, right? Well, that's part of Harley's problem. They've lost some of their revenue stream because Screaming Eagle used to be like this huge thing where you could go to the catalog and order all this stuff. But why? There's so much better things out there. Just so you don't want to void your warranty. Your warranty's only good for 2 years unless you pay, 10%, 8 to 10% of your motorcycle just to extend it for another 2 years. So Harley Davidson is failing because they're competing with themselves. And how do you win that fight? They're competing with what they did 20 years ago because those bikes are still relevant. They're not competing with other manufacturers of what they made 20 years ago, but they're competing with old Harleys. They're not competing with Indian, in my opinion. They're not competing with Honda. Their biggest competitor is what they did 20 years ago. and the aftermarket, they'll take care of that. So, and then even new bike sales, yeah, they're turning it around, and their bikes are better than ever as far as on paper. If you personally don't like them, well, that's a preference thing. We can't get into that. But yeah, they're competing with what they did 20 years ago. I feel they're on top, so they cannot please everybody. If they try to do that, they will fail, and they will please no one. And then the culture in the Harley dealer, most dealers is gone. Now, this is something that corporate really needs to figure out because Harley Davidson is governed like the United States. Corporate is just the president. We talk about corporate all day long. We talk about the president all day long. They don't affect that much. What it really comes down to is your individual state, your individual dealer. Because Harley dealers are given way more freedom than what any auto manufacturer is given. Like you go to a Chevy dealer and there's rules to this. When you go into a Chevy dealer and other than the way the building is, they all look, feel, smell, taste, whatever the same. Sound, they all basically feel the same. A Harley dealer, you can go to two on opposite ends of the town, completely different. They're ran different, they are completely different, the vibe is different. It's like going into a different country, basically. So that is unique to Harley Davidson. But you have some dealers that will succeed like crazy because they're doing it well. And some dealers that are not. Some dealers that are falling behind. And some of these dealers, like one of mine, I'm not going to name a name, but where I bought this bike from, they were killing it back in 18. But I'm sure a lot of them were. But they were doing cool events. They were doing cool stuff. And that's kind of what's part of Harley Davidson, right? Being cool. If you're not being cool, then what's the point, right? So that dealer has had a lot of turnover. They've had a lot of people quit, new hires, blah, blah, blah. That's always bad. And that's always indicative of bad management. And what happens, that dealer's not cool anymore. I was just talking to somebody who used to work there, and they were talking about some things that used to go on there. And they do these events that just pisses off the employees. This dealer brings bike clubs, car clubs, and I'm not going to say motorcycle clubs. They're not three-piece batch clubs. They're just bike clubs. Local clubs who get together, kind of like car clubs. Same thing. Same level. But so many of them ride crotch rockets, import bikes, whatever. So all these people are coming up to a Harley dealer, and the only thing they're using the Harley dealer for is a place to go in and use the bathroom. While they're outside in the parking lot partying, have a bike night, have their own event, the Harley shop just gave them a place to do it, and they're not spending any money inside. I have done events. I own a clothing brand. I have done some events at that dealer. They are some of the worst events I've ever done in my life. Nobody shows up. I felt like I promoted those events better than they did. Nobody showed up. And that happens. But it's constantly happening. Other Harley dealers, same thing. The events, some of the stuff they throw, some of the things they do, some of the vendors they allow at these events. It just baffles me. The culture there is gone. It should be about Harley Davidson. It should be about riding your bike, having a place for people to get together and hang out because they might buy some stuff while they're there. But it is about bikes, bike culture, riding, and your friends. It should not be about showing up and looking at these monogrammed towels, freeze-dried candy, okay? They have some of the weirdest things that happen here. The dealer just doesn't get it. And you're starting to see more independent shops pop up because Harley Davidson isn't, taking care of their bikes that are being sold. I mean, a 2014 Street Glide, or let's say 2013 because that's 11 years, with 30,000, 40,000 miles is probably just fine. It has a lot of life left in it, but your Harley dealer won't touch it, right? So you have all these independent shops starting to sell bikes. You've got independent bike sales that are popping up, and they're killing it. They're selling so many motorcycles because the internet, the power of the internet, you can get out there and get your stuff out there. It is insane what some people are doing, and Harley's just falling apart. It's crazy. So let's recap real fast. You've got the culture. Harley Davidson corporate is losing the culture. Is Harley Davidson dead? Absolutely not. I think what you're going to start to see happen, and we've already seen it with other companies, I'm going to call it out, which I've been thinking this for a while, so it's not a new idea. Harley Davidson corporate is going to reach out to smaller companies like mine, not me because I'm way too small, but these independent companies who are in the culture, in the life, doing the thing, and they're going to use them. They're already doing it. I've got a friend of mine. She's done. I don't want to call anybody out because I don't want anything get misconstrued in a weird way. But she's actually ridden the bikes, and she's on posters. She's on the website. They didn't call her out on it because they don't. The Ghost Riders, they don't say who they are, but you can see through the mask, through the visor, you can see who they are, and that's cool. She's a rad person, and she's got her own company, and she works with Harley Corporate. Harley Corporate is using her for their business. Now, it's a mutual thing. It's not like she's getting abused, but they're using her coolness and her out-of-the-box thinking so Harley can still kind of sit back, let her do all the creativity, and just kind of soak that in, and she's allowed to grow through the machine of Harley. There's another company, Thrash and Supply. They seem super cool. I'll say their name because I don't know them. But Harley works with them super tight. They work with Rusty Butcher. I don't know at what level now. But the same thing, they work together with them because they're rad, cool people. And they're using that status to their advantage. I think Harley is going to do more of this in the future. I think Harley needs to get way more hip. They need to get way more of just like throwing everything out there, having riders, having cool stuff. I think the motorcycle industry needs to adapt a little bit more to the skateboard industry and how things are done. And I think it will grow and do a lot better and get into the eyes. And you've got people in the corners of this area, this country, and just even in big cities who just think Harleys are just old people bikes. And that's just not true. They think it's just loud, obnoxious bar hoppers. That is not true. It is anything you want it to be. And that's what's cool about it. Again, we'll go back to it, the blank canvas. It is art. It is moving art. Art in motion. Yeah. I know that was a lot of words. So let's get back to summing it up. Culture. They've lost the culture. I think they're going to have to utilize influencers and smaller brands that are in the culture, that are cool, creative. They need to jump on that train. I think Harley is combating themselves of what they did 20 years ago and how well their bikes are being developed and what they will do in the future. So I think they need to grasp back at that and don't be so close-minded about old bikes. That's catch-22 because with Harley doing what they're doing, cool. So many small shops can pop up and small shops can live and breathe because Harley doesn't want to do it. There is a caveat to motorcycles because there's a lot more custom stuff that needs to be done with motorcycles and it's hard to get parts. It's not like a car. There's not millions of parts being made a day, for this stuff and the aftermarket support and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, there is a little bit of caveat to that. And then, of course, they're on top. Haters going to hate is what it is. They got to push through that and just do what they want to do. Do I think Harley Davidsons are great? Absolutely. Do I think they're doing what they need to do to stay on top? Maybe not. But you know what? That's okay. I'm not really worried about what they want to do in the corporate office because at my age, there's enough motorcycles to last me the rest of my life. If they want to plummet, as long as the aftermarket support is there, I can have my cool motorcycles. I can ride. I can do what I want to do. If you are crazy enough to make it this far into this rambling of why Harley Davidson is failing, yeah, hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. Do I honestly, hot take, do I think they're failing? Absolutely not. I think they're downsizing. That's not necessarily a failure. I think they flew too close to the sun and they tried to expand a lot. And while they have succeeded in doing some of that, I think they're having to contract, as a lot of companies are right now, and kind of really focus and see what they or figure out what they need to do, because I think they've lost focus. I think that's all it is. They just lost focus. There's a lot of really cool brands that have snuck in and taken up all that real estate because Harley was not focused. They were kind of lame and just not paying attention to what the people want. So we've got really cool companies that actually care, and you can actually talk to the owners, actually talk to the real people doing the work, instead of just some corporate machine pushing a bunch of stuff. I don't want to sound too much like a hippie, though. So let's wrap this up. I would love to know your opinion on Harley Davidson. I know I've gotten a lot of comments in the past that they're woke and they're terrible and they're gay, they're whatever. Please, flood the comment section. I don't care. If you made it this far, you might as well hit that like button or comment me a middle finger if you don't like me. Is what it is. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. But as always, keep it wretched.